Think of an API like a power outlet. Just as you plug in your TV to get electricity, apps plug into APIs to access data or services. How do apps like Airbnb add powerful features without having to build them from scratch? The secret lies in APIs. Tina, our Airbnb user, has found a cozy little flat in Zurich and checks out its location on a map. But how does Airbnb accurately place that pin? Airbnb has two options here. Option 1, build. Task their own developers with building a geolocation system from scratch. Or option 2, buy. Airbnb can plug into a service that already does this brilliantly, like Google's geolocation service. And this is where the magic of APIs comes in. API stands for Application Programming Interface, and it allows applications to directly interact with other applications. So a UI, user interface, is for a human to interact with a program. APIs is for an application to interact with another application. Think of an API like a power outlet. Just as you plug in your TV to get electricity, apps plug into APIs to access data or services. In our example, the application of Airbnb plugs into the application of Google to get coordinates to set pins on a map. Here's how it works. Airbnb sends a request to Google's API saying, "Hey Google, I've got this address, Central Zurich. Can you give me the exact coordinates?" Google replies with the latitude and longitude. With this information, Airbnb now can place the pin precisely on the map. However, accessing Google's API is not just a simple thing like just asking. When Airbnb signs up through Google's API, they receive a unique key that must be included with every request. Without this key, Google responds, "Request denied." When Google replies to Airbnb, it's not just sending plain text. It sends a structured response, often in the form of JSON. It stands for JavaScript Object Notation. And it looks something like this. Once Airbnb gets this response, the system starts processing and reformatting it to fit smoothly into Airbnb's logic. This is what developers refer to when they say parsing the data. Now, are you curious to see an API call in real life? It's as simple to just enter URL in your browser. So let's try it out with a demo. I'm opening my browser and I type this URL. This represents the request Airbnb sends to Google's API. Let's break it down. What's happening here? This specifies we're using Google's geocoding API. Data format, we're requiring the response to be in JSON format. This address we want to geocode. So here, Central Zurich. And authentication. Remember our unique API key. And now the magic. When I hit enter, I get a JSON response. There's quite a lot of information returned. So at the start, I see details that aren't really relevant for me because I'm specifically looking for longitude and latitude. Next, I come across some geographical bounds. Interesting, but not what I need. And here it is. I found the location section with the longitude and latitude. So when I mentioned earlier about parsing and finding the right information, this is exactly what I meant. In an API response, you often get a wealth of data, and it is essential to pinpoint the details you need and program your system to extract it. Now you might be wondering, how did you know this was the right URL to use? The answer lies in API documentation. It's an explanation by the API provider with clear directions on how to make requests. Not all API calls will succeed. For example, when I make a call with a non-existing address, I get a response like this. Work with developers to establish robust error handling protocols, such as automatic retails, detailed logging, user-friendly error messages. This ensures that user experience remains seamless even when something goes wrong. Okay, so if you want a simplified overview on how you can use APIs to communicate between front-end and back-end, check out this video.